Good evening and welcome to our show, Going Public. I'm Renee Fonseca, and joining us tonight is Mr. Bubba Ogeron, the superintendent for the Terrebonne Parish School District. The district recently received the district and school performance scores. Tonight, we are going to discuss exactly what those scores represent.
Okay.
I want to thank you for joining us tonight. I know school performance scores were released recently. Last year, we had many disruptions such as Hurricane Ida, a little bit of COVID going on. So how did the Terrebonne Parish School District perform last year in regards to the scores?
Okay. Well, we performed really well considering a lot of the hardships, you know. So many things, when you reflect, when you get school scores, it's a reflection of how you performed. And when I reflect, you think about the hardships, the platooning, the abbreviated schedules. You know, we had less minutes that we taught. We had other things that are the intangibles of the stresses and the psychological effects of a storm. You know, many people lost their homes, from kids to teachers. And with all of that, our scores broke even. We basically remained the same as we were the year before. Matter of fact, we declined right at about a few tenths of a point. So with all of that, our teachers still were able to successfully, you know, give instruction, and kids were successful as a result of the hard work and flexibility. We did really well. And so hats off to teachers for doing such a fine job. You know, that's just tremendous in the circumstances they were faced with.
What was our number and our letter grade?
Yeah, so we're a letter grade of a B. So in Louisiana, it's an A to F scale. So we're a B, above average. 83.5 is our number. And we're in the top 20 school districts out of 70. And one of the remarkable things that I think this year in particular, historically we've had several schools that were labeled D, which is obviously below average. You know, that's, you know, just like a letter grade in school. This year, we have all of our schools that are scoring A, B, or C level. We have no schools at the D or F level. So going back to the first, you know, part of the question, despite all the, you know, barriers of Hurricane Ida, all our schools are C or better. So that's wonderful. That's really, really good. And I was sharing earlier, out of the 70 school districts in Louisiana, we're one of about 20 that have no D or F schools. So that's quite an accomplishment for you know, all of our schools, you know, to perform in a tough year like we had.
Yes, definitely an accomplishment.
Right.
Props off to your teachers.
No doubt.
I know schools basically get two scores. One is the actual school performance score, and the other is the progress score. What's the difference between the SPS and the progress score? Okay,
so the SPS, which stands for School Performance Score, it's comprised of several things. The main two things, though, are the actual LEAP score, and the other part is the progress score. You combine those two, you get basically a school performance score. In high school, there are other factors, but for the most part, that's kind of what we look at. And the LEAP scores roughly are about 70% of the school's score. That's like the one test, the one snapshot of learning is 70% of a score. The other 30% is roughly 30% is the progress side. So progress is relatively new, but what it does, it determines if a kid is on track to being a mastery student. So mastery is like the B level. Advanced is like equates to an A. Mastery equates to a B. So the goal of the state is every kid mastery or above. So this progress is an indicator if kids are on track to being mastery. So that's the first thing. And if they're not quite on track, then what it does is, it gets a little complicated. What it does, it compares kids of similar demographics throughout the state, and they rank them. And that ranking generates a score. It's a little complicated, but that gives you a progress score. You get those two pieces. If I'm on track to mastery, yes or no. If not, how do I compare with kids of similar background as me? And that generates a score for us, the progress side. And we're very proud of our schools. Out of our 30 schools that generate a school performance score, 22 of them have an A in progress, which means they're on track to mastery or they're outperforming kids of similar backgrounds. So we're proud of our schools. That's a big, big accomplishment. And since that is such a big part of their school performance score, that progress side, we're doing really well because we perform, well considering other kids throughout Louisiana.
When we look at those numbers, when do you start setting goals for next school year or for the current school year, and what types of goals do you set?
Okay, that's a good question. Well, we were actually having a meeting today looking at some things on the high school level because high school has other factors in their score. So there's the testing scores, testing side of the score, but high school factors in ACT. That's another component. And they also have like graduation rate and what's called strength of diploma. So there are other categories. So we're kind of talking about how do we start setting goals, in those other areas outside of testing, because testing is always a goal from the beginning. Teachers set goals, as they're called student learning targets based on the testing. So we do that early in the year, but there are other factors that we got to kind of look at outside of that. So as far as goal setting, that's done in the summer for the upcoming year. As soon as we get results, we're setting goals for next year. But it takes a while to know your school score. You get that like midway through the next year, so it's a little hard to make goals. So we set a lot of our goals based on the raw data that we get in the spring or kind of early summer. So that's done very early, and that's where we move forward from the beginning of school.
It sounds like it's constant planning.
It is, most definitely. And you're going to have some principles of the year come up for the next segment. And the reason they are principles of the year is because they do a tremendous job of goal setting. Matter of fact, all of our schools do a great job of that, and the success is often a result of good planning and goal setting, no doubt.
And speaking of the schools, are there any recognitions our district or schools have received with the release of scores?
Yeah. So one of a new category of recognition is it's called the Comeback Campus. So I think there's like 1,300 schools or so, give or take, a few, in Louisiana, 1,300 schools. And there were 40, out of the 1,340 schools that were labeled Comeback Campuses. And we had one. Village East Elementary was labeled a Comeback Campus. And what that means is they had a larger percentage of kids scoring mastery and above. There was like a growth on that side, kids scoring at those two high levels, compared to kids who were in the unsat and approaching basic level. So the percentage flipped for those schools. And matter of fact, they had a year, they grew 9.5 points. And that's kind of, it's not unheard of, but it's extremely difficult to grow that much. And they were a C school, so it's not like they're growing from the bottom. They were growing from an average, so they went from a borderline C school to like a very solid C school. So they had really great progress, along with so many of our other schools. Matter of fact, again, a couple of the principals in here that are going to be speaking later, they had tremendous growth as well. One school, in Grand Caillou Elementary, and we talked about them. We made a big decision on Grand Caillou Elementary last night. They grew tremendous, 8.5 points. So across the board, we had really good results. But that was one, a Comeback Campus, and it's a new recognition. Matter of fact, it's so new that the state superintendent is going to be coming down to actually visit and just see some of the good work that's happening in that school in particular. We also have, there are other labels that the school gives us that are very prestigious, and one of them is a top gains school. And a top gains means this, you get an A in progress, and I said we had 22 schools that got that, but it also adds into that there are no labels, meaning that none of the subgroups, it gets a little complicated, but there are no subgroup labels, meaning there are no schools that have students with disabilities or other subgroups that perform low. They all perform very well. So it's a lengthy list, but top gains, I can just give them to you. Acadian Elementary, Bayou Black, Berg, H.L. Bourgeois, Broadmoor, Coteau Bayou Blue, Dularge, Gibson, Honduras, Legion Park, Lisa Park, Montague Middle, Mulberry, Shreveport Elementary, South Terrebonne High School, Southdown, Terrebonne High, and Upper Little Caillou. Those schools were called top gains because they did really well with the progress and they had no subgroup labels. So that's some of the honors we had. There's one more category that's worth mentioning. There's so many things we could look at data-wise, but we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we had 9 schools move up a letter grade. They went from B's to A's, and most of them went from C's to B's. We have several of them. 8 schools that were C's that were now B schools. So that's, and Honduras was a D. It was only one D left, and we knew they were making such great progress, and they did it in just a great fashion. They grew like, I think, 12 points. Yeah, they grew, actually, I'm wrong, 13.4 points. So they had a great breakout year to get to that C level, and so we're very proud of them and all of our schools for the work they did under great duress, so to speak.
Well, it sounds like we definitely have some improvement going on
Yes,
next year,
yes.
working towards that A
It-
letter
it's-
grade.
It's achievable, it's doable, it's possible. We believe that.
Yes, absolutely. I want to thank you for joining us tonight. It looks like our time is up.
All right?
I would like to thank you, our viewers, for watching. Don't forget to join us every Tuesday on Going Public. Good night.
Terrebonne Parish School District is now hiring bus drivers. A valid CDL is required. If you don't have a CDL, we will train you. You must be able to pass a medical health exam and a drug test. Salary range is $19,253 to $29,859. Benefits include free health insurance and retirement. Contact the TPSB Transportation Office at 985-876-7400.
Good evening and welcome to our show, Going Public. I'm Renee Fonseca, and joining us tonight are Amanda Callahan, Jason Corbin, and Blaze Pellegrin, the Terrebonne Parish Elementary, Middle, and High School 2024 Principals of the Year. I want to thank you guys for joining us tonight and congratulate you on earning Principal of the Year.
Thank you.
Definitely a big honor.
Yes.
First off, I'm going to go ahead with Ms. Callahan. You are the principal at Grand Caillou Elementary and the Terrebonne Parish Elementary Principal of the Year. How has earning this title of Principal of the Year impact your school and community?
So the past 3 years for anyone in education has been trying and different, and we've had to adjust a lot, especially for my campus, Grand Caillou Elementary, last year with Hurricane Ida completely losing our school. And any probably principal or staff in that school could have had a very easy excuse to say that the kids didn't grow. But last year was one of the highest years of growth that Grand Caillou Elementary has had. Even with Hurricane Ida destroying our school and then being divided between 2 locations, and then moving again into another building, we grew kids tremendously. We are first in the parish for growth, that progress index, and our math scores were top 3 in the district. So it's a huge testament to the community that the parents, despite that kids were still in tents, in trailers and commuting from far places, that they still valued the education of their kids. And the same for my staff, that regardless of that their homes were destroyed, many of them, they still came to work every day with a smile on their face and put forth their best effort. And it was a huge recognition and joy when we found out, what the scores were.
Yeah, definitely some improvement. How much did you say that y'all grew?
We grew overall 8 points, but math in 3rd grade we grew 15 points, pushing us up to 3rd in the district.
Wow.
So that was huge. And our 3rd graders actually started the year after the storm at Dularge Elementary, and they were all 60 of them in one classroom sharing with 4 teachers. And that was tough, going into that room with that. But those teachers really blew it out the water. The kids after the storm were so well behaved and just wanted to learn and be at school. So it was beautiful last year, and then getting those scores was the icing on the cake, and then now this recognition really is just super positive for my school.
It sounds like you guys are moving in the right direction.
Yes.
So what led you into your leadership role?
So as a teacher, I knew that I always wanted to be a teacher. I grew up in a foster care home where there were 4 boys and 4 girls all of the time. So that led me into having lots of students to teach. And I never really, in the beginning, teaching, thought that I would be a principal or a leader. It didn't cross my mind. But I had principals and mentors who kept pushing me, and they were like, you're a great teacher. We need to see you in leadership. So a master teacher that was at the school that I was teaching at gave me an application. The district at that time was paying for teachers to go and get their master's degree. So the district, Terrebonne Parish, did a grant, and I was accepted to get my leadership degree. And then once I got my degree, I was offered a position right away, and I have loved it ever since, being in leadership.
And how long have you been in education?
18 years.
18 years.
18 years.
Well, good. Also joining us tonight, we have Mr. Jason Corbin, the Terrebonne Parish Middle School Principal of the Year from Houma Junior High. Thank you for coming tonight. What do you consider some of the strengths of Houma Junior High?
We're very proud of the school. We think I have a lot of attributes that help us move in a good direction, but 2 primary ones come to mind. The first is pretty obvious, just the quality of the people on the campus. The teachers are phenomenal. They did an exceptional job last year. They have been doing it for quite some time now. They push the kids, they push each other, they push themselves, they push me. They really want what's best for the kids and do it with a sense of compassion, and it really just helps stabilize the campus. The custodial staff does a great job keeping the school functioning properly, especially after last year. That's something that was very important. The guidance department's very proactive. They look to handle any kind of student needs as best they see fit, and do a great job with that. The front office staff is a very welcoming group of people. Just all together, just the people on staff is just a strength that's really going to help us. It has helped us continue to do so. And I'd say the other primary impact that we have, the other strength that we have on our campus is just the kids and the feeder schools that send the kids to us. They do a great job of preparing those kids academically and socially to come to us, and the parents. You know, the communities we serve, they're very resilient, very tough group of people. They had high expectations of school despite everything that's happened. I'm sure the colleagues would agree with me. I mean, this area as a whole did a phenomenal job, and it's just those 2 entities working together, I think, are really going to help propel the school down the line.
And going forward, what are some of the goals for the school?
Lots of goals out there. Obviously, Mr. Argeron mentioned SPS, and that's the primary one. You set goals towards achieving a score that the state formulates with various components. You have the SPS goals. You have the components that work towards the SPS goals for that, individual teacher goals, individual student goals, goals for discipline and so forth. But the primary goal that we have that I think has the impact over all those goals is quite simple. We just want people on the campus to feel like they belong there. We want the teachers to feel like this is the best place for them to utilize their talents and their skill set to help the kids out, and want the kids to understand that this is a great place for them to be to help prepare them for high school and beyond. And at times we were able to achieve that. You know, there are days where that happens and you can really see it on the campus. And once that becomes the established mindset, I think the sky's the limit.
And how long have you been in education, and what led you to that?
25 years, and it's just something I've always wanted to do. Enjoyed school when I was a kid. Saw my high school principal. He seemed like he was a happy guy, and just got into coaching, got into teaching, and eventually, and I always had an interest in going into administration, and followed suit, and here I am. I don't regret a day of it. I enjoy it.
Good. We need more.
Yep, a few more. Thank you.
I also have with us tonight Blaze Pellegrin, the Terrebonne Parish High School Principal of the Year from Ellender Memorial High School. Thank you for coming on tonight.
Welcome.
How many years have you been in education, and what led you to go into that field?
This is my 28th year in education, 17 years in the classroom, 2 years as an assistant principal, and this is my 9th year as a principal. I've made my tour of the parish as a teacher and an educator. I've been through all the high schools. So I started off at H.L. Bourgeois, and then also went to South Terrebonne, as I said, Terrebonne, and now Ellender. Actually, this is my second time at Ellender as principal. So to get involved in education, I had a great high school experience. I think that's most of what you'll find when you talk to teachers or people who go into education. They had that great high school experience, and they wanted to be able to give back that same experience to another generation of kids.
And what are you most proud of when you think of the accomplishments you're being recognized from last school year?
Yeah, last school year I was at South Terrebonne High School, so I do have to brag on them a little bit, and then I'll also brag a little bit on Ellender as well. We were platooning at H.L. Bourgeois. We had the night shift is what we called it. We were going in the evenings, and instead of 51-minute classes, we had 36-minute classes. Our faculty, our students, our staff, it was very trying on them, but our results show that South Terrebonne didn't need a building. They were still a very strong school. We ended up with the highest SPS in Terrebonne Parish, in fact, because of that. They continued to put their dedication into it, and like I said, they persevered. I can say the same thing for Ellender. There were some areas at Ellender also with the same situation, showed some growth, and our students and community just didn't give up and continued to just push forward and have a successful school year.
And how is your school adjusting this year? I know you're still in, modular buildings. You're
Right.
not in your building, but you're there on your campus.
Yeah, being back on campus has made all the difference in the world. Our students and our parents, especially when we opened it to them to first come and view it, it was a huge turnout. Everybody wanted to be back on Patriot Drive, just like I know everybody wanted to be back in Berg for South Terrebonne. And we saw a lot of people want to come to see the campus, and our students have gone back to school as usual. Our teachers really enjoy the new classrooms. We've got a lot of great technology in there. It's a good facility. We're waiting to start to see some progress on the main buildings because that's everybody's big question. But school is back to normal and our normal times, and our kids are really working hard, and our faculty's really working hard.
It sounds like it. What are some of your goals for Ellender Memorial?
At Ellender, our big push this year is really with ACT and our work keys testing. Our students are going to go through a couple of different programs. One of them is called a boot camp, to where we're going to get them to actually have a day of school where they're going to spend with some consultants who are going to break down the test for them, give them some test-taking skills, and really drill down so that they can help to push those scores up. We know that the ACT can make a difference in a child's life, so we really are putting that focus. Also, we've got our teachers during the regular class day working with our students, especially our juniors and seniors, to try to get those skills and strategies so that they can be successful.
Definitely a lot going on with the ACT boot camps and working on that SPS score.
Yes.
We're going to see some improvement next year.
That's it. You're going to see that score jump.
We're going to see it going up. What are some of the things that you are most proud of about your schools? I'm going to come back to Ms. Callahan first, and then we'll go down the line.
One of the things I'm always very proud of is just day-to-day walking into my building. If you visit and visitors visit, it's such a happy place. One of my biggest goals is in elementary, you want them to love school and enjoy coming to school, because if they don't, then they're not learning. So you walk into my campus, it's a family. The teachers are family, the kids give hugs, it's smiling, it's bright. It's a happy place to be. And that's what leads to the growth, is that they want to be there.
I did walk onto your campus a couple of weeks ago, and everyone was very welcoming. From the students to your staff, everyone was like, "Hi, how can I help you?" Everyone was very friendly.
Yeah.
Also, Mr. Corbin, what do you think are you most proud of about your school?
Thank you for asking that. We had as I mentioned, one of the goals is trying to get kids to feel like they belong on the campus, to value their position on that campus, and to know that they're valued by the staff and so forth. And part of that is getting kids involved in extracurricular activities. Right now, we have between 65 to 70% of our kids involved in either band or clubs, obviously athletics and so forth, and that kind of generates a little bit more pride in the campus, and I think that's the community. It's a good community relationship builder and so forth, so we're very proud of that aspect.
And then, Blaze, what are you very proud of about Ellender?
We've got a recurring theme called Stronger Together, and it started last year when we experienced the storm, and it's continued this year. We've really got a mindset to where our faculty pulls together and helps one another, and our students know that they're going to be supported by everybody that's on our campus.
I'm very proud of everything.
Yes.
I want to thank you all for joining us tonight again, and congratulations once again. I would like to thank you, our viewers, for watching. Don't forget to join us every Tuesday on Going Public. Good night.